Hola Switchheads, welcome to a very exhausted Kanan, and this is my review for Tormented Souls, a survival horror game that's hoping to bring back the old Resi days and capture that feeling of your hairs on your arms sticking up in fear. It's also really hard, or at least I did find it very difficult. But before we talk about my experiences within Tormented Souls, why not subscribe for future reviews and sales videos coming your way each and every week. And don't forget to like the video if you like any of my videos, as it really helps small channels like mine to grow. Well, I hope you're sitting comfortably. Engage. Story-wise, we are treated to a slightly different twist to the norm. Basically, while searching for answers about some missing girls, you get knocked out. And then you awaken in a bathtub, naked, with tubes down your throat. And I realised at this point, this probably wasn't a good sign. Once free, it's up to you to find out what had happened and why you're in this place and predicament. And what did they do to you? Question mark. All is shrouded in mystery. I will say right away as a small disclaimer, I have not completed Tormented Souls yet. I will explain why during the review, but trust me, I've had a great time with this game, and that's not necessarily means that it's a bad game before everyone speculates there. Tormented Souls, as I mentioned before, is definitely influenced by old school survival horror games, and everything you expect is here front and centre. The controls are actually quite decent, but true to form, rounding corners when you're, walking around the corner because of how the camera works, you kind of still head in that direction where you should be heading in a different direction because the camera angle has changed. Does that make sense? Okay, so let me see if I can show you here where I'm nice and safe. And yeah, see, so it doesn't change your control direction. It just lets you carry on in that direction, and then you have to readjust yourself when you're actually doing it. The actual controls are quite easy. There's a slightly runny think button. I can never tell the difference between that. And also, left, right, up, down, and takes you around. It's basic controls for this sort of game. And they work, so why change them? Then you can look at things using the A button, interact with things. There's a map. A map! And then, as you would expect, there's the inventory, resources, and items menu. I do like this, and there's even collectibles to be had. Woohoo! I've had to move to show you the menu. Yes, okay, so basically this is where you collect all your files, all the stuff that you've got to learn different stuff, and anything that basically moves the story on or tells a bit of lore. And then resources, yes, you can get different costumes, which is kind of neat. So yeah, they all look kind of the same, but when you put them on they look different, if that makes sense. These are save the actual game. To start with, you have hardly any. I find it a real ball ache. Afterwards they kind of give them away with like they're candy or something. It's so weird. And then you got this, which is all the stuff that you need kind of to work out all your puzzles and things like that. It's standard, but I like it. I like this bit here. This is pretty cool. And your vibrations on your controllers vibrate when you're actually going to die and stuff. Yeah, I really enjoy this system. It's quite cool. And what would a survival horror game be without puzzles? Yeah, I know. Look, it's an element that's in all of them, isn't it? These can range from easy to hard and, bloody hard, and may take a while to do. But I do like how you interact with them and the items in order to solve them. Picking an inventory item up and placing it or using it. I mean, actually kind of using it, taking it over and doing what you need to do, instead of it just being a pick up and automatically does it. And that is apparent right from the start of the game. Take this for instance. So you use the item and then you try to use it. So then go and examine the item. Okay. And then you click it and it opens it up slightly. Now you can open it too far, so there is that. And then Hey! Which is, oh wow, I've done it! Saving the game was a double-edged sword to me. You basically have this clever bit that when you actually use an old magnetophone, I am pronouncing that wrong, not a typewriter as you know from other like Resi games and things. When you actually click the reel in, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes she actually reels through what she's actually done. So she's actually logging what has happened to her so far. And I think that's really, really clever. And as good as I thought that was, it kind of brought me to a realization of why I do not miss saving. As in, my God, I've wasted so much time to dying in this game and having to go all the way back to a previous save instead of an auto save. It's annoying that, you know, one little thing can kill your character off and then you've just lost so much time if you've not been able to find a reel to save. This is mainly at the beginning of the game, I will point out. Once you're past that, they kind of like not so bad, but it's still annoying. And for me, I really would have liked a option of autosave or play it the hardcore way, you know, like it's meant to, like the old games, because I would have picked autosave after a while, I really would have. There are pickups aplenty. You get the normal health pickups as well as weapons and a torch to use as some areas are rather dark. Weapons from a nail gun to a more powerful shotgun thing, but you'll have to do a little bit of work in order to advance from that nail gun. And then you get your melee weapons for those times that you obviously will run out of all your ammo and will have to defend yourself with something pointy, as is pretty standard in most of these games. Most of the enemy types are pretty well variants of the same sort of thing, which kind of fits the theme as well, if that makes sense. And also makes for some great wall decorations as well. Very rustic. There are loads of books, notes and things like this to pick up and read and learn more of what had gone on before. And I loved that you could move these around and look at them and kind of like point at different bits of it and look at the back. It was pretty cool. The game is definitely a 18 plus and even has some risque bits in it. There were a few jump scares and some I think were meant to be jump scares but didn't really land. I don't really get scared from those sort of things, but they were there and I'm sure some people jumped at them. But I will say that it really took me back to the days I used to play these sort of games, and it really showed me why I love this style of survival horror. Saying all of that, there were a few negatives I'd like to talk about too. While the game has never crashed on me, it did however kill me off while using a crowbar with no enemies around me, and I lost all my progression and had to, start again from my last save point. This was annoying. But it only did it once and I've never seen it again, so I suppose it might be a localized thing. Secondly, while the gaming combat is okay, the swap between lighter and weapon at the starting areas can sometimes plunge you into darkness, and this will kill your character off. And so you have to look for other areas to actually, take on the enemies. And even when I had the settings on full brightness, it still looked really, really dark. And this really made it difficult to fight enemies, and this was one of my biggest times that I would die through the game over and over again. And this is one reason why it took me so long to get to where I actually am in the game now. Luckily enough, later on in the game it's not so much of a problem because you get like a flashlight or a torch depending on where you are. And it really does make it slightly more easier to do. But if you're in complete dark, it's just game over anyway. Don't go into the dark. There was a little tiny bit of frame rate problems here and there, but to me there was nothing that really slowed down the game and made it unplayable. Tormented Souls is a very hard game. With the saves as they are and no autosave, it can feel brutal at times. Absolutely brutal for that matter. It took me longer than I would like to admit to get past the first section into the rest of the game. But when I finally did, it all opened up so much more. Visually, the game looked pretty darn decent on the Switch, and there was some real detail within these set pieces you go into, some looking from really impressive to kind of average, I suppose. Although I did feel that the jump scares, or at least I think they were meant to be, kind of like hit and miss all the way through the game. Audibly, like wow. This can be chilling at times, and you can feel the atmosphere grow with every note. There are written dialogues within this game, but there are also voice dialogue, which is great, and I thought the acting was pretty darn good. Nothing special, but okay. The good. It's nice looking and sounds pretty good as well. Well done, and thank you for the voice actors. Captured that old school survival horror feel. Weapons felt good. It's very atmospheric, it really is. Some cool ideas, and I liked how the puzzles and objects got used with your inventory. It was kind of different, I like that. The amount of neat ideas like walking into rooms and being able to light the candle holders in that particular room was pretty cool. The bad, the saves is not automatic. Authentic, yes, and this kind of hurt me and probably some other people as well. And I know some people are going to moan at me for being a wuss about this, but I would have loved the option or choice. The game killed my character off for no apparent reason, and to this day, I still don't know why. A tiny amount of frame rate. Again, it's hardly worth mentioning, but the game is so good, I'm just kind of nitpicking here and there. Combat at the start with the light and not seeing was a pain for me, but once you get past that, it just gets so much more better. Load screens between rooms, kind of long, especially when you're coming out of one room to go into another. But I feel this is still impressive for the Nintendo Switch. Well done. I found my time in Tormented Souls a harsh reality check. Games these days are too easy, and I think that's made me soft to these more hardcore games that we used to play. Once I got my teeth into it though, it got better and better for me, and that's why I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Not for the faint-hearted or those who can't deal with a challenge, but for those who like to be driven to the edge of insanity and don't mind a bit of, teeth grinding. Then this could be for you. And I will also say I will be completing this game. It will not beat me. Rightio. This one was a stressful review for me, and I was worried I would not get far enough into it that I could review it. So it would mean a lot to me and the channel if you subscribed, and I'll keep you covered for weekly reviews and sales videos. And giving me a like always helps small channels like mine grow. Now let's get to that alternative, shall we? Well, today it's going to be a no-brainer, and I know that there are some people out there that still haven't played these games. But none other than the Resident Evil games. And I mean the old schooly ones, not the new ones, if you want this sort of experience. Because they are quite old, but they are still classed as gold. But if you have a better suggestion, or indeed a comment on Tormented Souls, leave them down below. Or if you'd like to continue the conversation, then come along to the community Discord, where I am more than happy to do just that. Because life is better when we switch together.